Oh,
Hello, Ben. How are you?
I'm good. I don't see you. Oh, there you are. All tiny in the
Yep,
corner.
down the small. Yes,
Tiny in the
yes,
corner. So we're going
yeah,
to talk about sleep today.
yes. And we're going to cover nutrition, lifestyle, and psychological issues.
Okay, so just so we know, before I even forget, Longevity has a new product, melatonin gummies, which I've been using myself personally, and they kick butt. I mean, they're awesome. They recommend 3 a day or 3 a night. I recommend 1 or 2. If you take 3, uh, that's pretty potent. Now, melatonin is designed to help you fall asleep, but not necessarily stay asleep. But the melatonin gummies have a few other ingredients that help you stay asleep. Ordinarily, melatonin, which everybody knows about for helping people fall asleep, a lot of people don't realize melatonin only helps you fall asleep, doesn't keep you asleep. Nonetheless, melatonin is probably the most popular of the sleep aids. But melatonin does much more than just help you fall asleep. Melatonin is an anti-aging molecule. Melatonin is a calming molecule. Melatonin is a nighttime molecule as opposed to its colleague, which is serotonin, which is a daytime molecule. So melatonin has a general calming effect. And as we age, our natural melatonin drops. So melatonin, taken supplementally, can help replace some of that melatonin that naturally drops or declines with age. As I say, melatonin, by virtue of calm the entire body, also will support the immune system, reduce stress, and also have a general salubrious, health-delivering, and anti-aging effect. As far as sleep goes, the reason, 30% of Americans have insomnia, and 10% of Americans have insomnia significant enough to affect their daily activities. I'm not sure what the statistics are in Australia, but I imagine they're similar. Insomnia and problems sleeping should always be regarded as a sign of an activated alert system. We've talked about this before. The sympathetic nervous system is your emergency nervous system designed to get you out of a jam. Your parasympathetic nervous system is the calming nervous system. And you want to spend most of your time, not surprisingly, parasympathetic, in a calm state. And you need to have a healthy sympathetic nervous system, and a healthy sympathetic response can get you out of a jam. The sympathetic nervous system gets you out of bed in the morning. So the sympathetic nervous system is very important, but it's more like an emergency nervous system. So it's there to help you deal with stresses, emergencies, and even getting out of bed in the morning. The parasympathetic nervous system, by virtue of its effect to calm the body down, is where you want to spend most of your time. The parasympathetic nervous system is called the rest and digest nervous system because it's responsible for relaxation as well as for the digestive system and for strengthening the immune system and for healthy thyroid, healthy blood sugar control. Pretty much all the good stuff is regulated by the parasympathetic nervous system. And not only does the sympathetic nervous system, or an activated sympathetic nervous system, cause problems with insomnia and falling asleep if you're, as they say, running from a saber-toothed tiger, which is what the sympathetic nervous system is supposed to help you do, not necessarily running from a saber-toothed tiger, but getting away from a stressful event, you're obviously you're not supposed to fall asleep. So the sympathetic nervous system, activated sympathetic nervous system, is going to keep you from falling asleep. It's probably the main reason why people have insomnia. I should also tell you, pretty much all chronic degenerative disease, including cardiovascular disease, cancer, and autoimmune problems, dementia, and movement disorders, etc., all have an aspect of a hypersympathetic response or hypersympathetic activity. Too much sympathetic activity compared to parasympathetic activity. As far as our discussion here goes, you want to think of insomnia as a sign of the body in alert, in a poised state, ready for danger. Obviously, if you're ready for danger, it doesn't make survival sense to fall asleep. So you want to consider insomnia to be a sign that your body is anticipating danger, protecting itself. The sympathetic nervous system is being alert. Think about falling asleep. When you fall asleep, it requires a sort of trust. You got to kind of let go. You got to kind of fall into the bed. In fact, that's one of the strategies for dealing with insomnia. Think of yourself as being really heavy and falling into the mattress. In order for that to happen, you have to have a certain amount of trust. You have to feel safe, which is why if your sympathetic nervous system is activated, you're not going to be able to fall asleep because you're not feeling safe. We should also tell you that past experiences, like even going back as childhood, will cause this hypervigilant state to remain permanent. people who've had what are called adverse childhood experiences, or who are dealing with post-traumatic stress from an abusive childhood or from trauma that occurred as a child, or cultural trauma if you were raised in a wartime situation in a country that was at war, you'll be dealing with this kind of post-traumatic response that's going to keep you from falling asleep. All of this is to say that while there's wonderful nutrients that you can use and supplements that you can use, including the aforementioned melatonin to help you fall asleep, the best thing you could do if you're having a problem falling asleep or staying asleep is learn how to activate this safety response, the parasympathetic response. And there are multiple ways to do this. The fastest way, of course, is to practice slow, deep, rhythmic breathing. I call it SDR breathing. The number one fear of the body, the organic system, not mentally, but the organic body, the organic bodily system, is suffocation. And in fact, if you hold your breath, most people can hold their breath for 10 or 15 or 20 seconds. If you hold your breath for past the point where it feels comfortable, say you hold your breath for 30 seconds or so, or 40 seconds or so, you will experience what an activated sympathetic nervous system response is. You'll start to shake, you'll get really hot, you'll get anxious. People who get panic attacks oftentimes will find that they're not breathing right before they get the panic attack, and that panic attack can be initiated by a lack of oxygenation. That lack of oxygenation can be counteracted or can be balanced off or neutralized by practicing intentional, slow, deep, rhythmic breathing. And not only is that the fastest way to activate the rest and digest nervous system, the relaxation response, but it's also a wonderful way to help you fall asleep. Just breathe. We're always breathing, but watch your breath. Sometimes people breathe and know about the importance of breathing, but what you really want to do is practice watching your breath. In fact, if you just watch your breath right now or pay attention to your breath without trying to control it, you'll notice that it's kind of an interesting bodily process. You're not really in control of that breathing. It's happening on its own. And just watching the breathing process tends to relax people. In fact, just watching or paying attention to any bodily process can activate the parasympathetic nervous system. Paying attention to your pulse or your heartbeat, in addition to paying attention to the breath, the in and out of the breath. Paying attention to a part of your body. Paying attention, and when I say paying attention, paying real close attention to your hands or your fingers or your feet or your toes or your nose or your face. Paying attention to the muscles in your face. You've got probably 80 to 100, maybe even more muscles in your face. Just paying attention to the muscles in your face will have a tendency to relax them. And that's another thing. Relaxing all of the muscles in the body intentionally. The sympathetic nervous system is responsible for contractions. So people who are hypersympathetic will be contracting. They'll be tight. Sometimes people will wake up in the morning and their fists will be kind of clenched because during this, while they were sleeping, they were still had some sympathetic nervous system firing, and they'll find that they're a little bit contracted when they wake up. Sometimes they'll wake up with sore jaw muscles, or there are people who grind their teeth when they sleep. All of these are related to a sympathetic nervous system response that's occurring even while you're sleeping. Obviously, that implies that you're not getting quality sleep. So relaxing the muscles, in addition to paying attention to the breathing or a bodily sound or a part of your body, also has a parasympathetic nervous system activating response that can kind of relax you. Another thing that you could do is practice gratitude. When you feel grateful for something, guess what? Your parasympathetic nervous system is activated. The body feels safe when you start to count all the things you're grateful for. So what I do when I can't fall asleep is I think of all the things I'm grateful for, and it includes things like my clothes or my house or my girlfriend or my kid or my job, or it could be anything that you feel grateful for. And then you run down a list of maybe 10 different things that you're grateful for. And then you start again and go down that list again, and you start again and go down that list again. And by the time you've gone 2 or 3 times down the list, you'll find that it's the morning. The next thing you know, you've fallen asleep and it's already the morning. So learning how to activate the parasympathetic response. And by the way, the parasympathetic nervous system is represented by what we call the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is one of the cranial nerves, one of the brain nerves, and it runs all the way down your body. It's the longest nerve in your body. The word vagus means vagrant, and it refers to the fact that the vagus nerve wanders. Vagus means wandering. And this vagus nerve is the representation of the parasympathetic nervous system, and sometimes you'll hear the term vagal theory or vagal tone to refer to the importance of the parasympathetic nervous system and to strengthening the parasympathetic nervous system. Like just like you go to the gym to get your muscles toned, you can actually tone your vagus nerve, strengthen your vagus nerve by practicing slow, deep breathing, paying attention to part of your body, listening to a sound. And by the way, you can also listen to ambient sounds, the sound of the fan or the air conditioner or the hum of your furnace or your computer. All of these, paying attention to sounds in the environment, will also activate your parasympathetic nervous system. There's so many different ways to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, all of which will help tone or strengthen the vagus nerve. So the next time you try to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, it's going to be easier, and it will keep getting easier, and you'll be able to spend your life more and more in the parasympathetic system as your vagus nerve becomes stronger or more toned. So sometimes people will talk about vagal tone, or they'll talk about vagal theory. Some people talk about polyvagal theory. And these are all based on the idea that it's the parasympathetic nervous system where you want to spend most of your time. And more people are beginning to recognize this phenomena. So the cool thing about vagal tone and working with the parasympathetic nervous system to help you fall asleep is because the vagus nerve and the parasympathetic nervous system also lowers your blood pressure and strengthens your immune system and improves the body's response to assaults and attacks, is very important for digestive functioning, important for the thyroid, important for reproduction and fertility, important for creativity and imagination. All of these wonderful benefits will accrue as you're strengthening the vagus nerve, as you're improving vagal tone, as you're activating the parasympathetic nervous system. So in addition to getting a great night's sleep and falling asleep much more easily, you'll be able to enjoy better digestion and better sexuality and better creativity and better immunity. And you'll slow down the aging process. You'll improve your skin health and growth and repair. All of these wonderful benefits will accrue as you're activating the parasympathetic nervous system to improve sleep. Bonus, when you improve sleep, you improve brain health. One of the ways the brain cleans itself out and detoxifies itself is by the period of time, or extending the period of time, or having enough of a period of time when you're not thinking about anything. You're only dreaming. You're not activating. Your brain is sort of relaxing. During sleep, our brain cleans itself out. So bonus, in addition to supporting all these wonderful parasympathetic induced benefits like improved digestion, improved thyroid health, etc., you'll also be improving your brain's detoxification via what's called the glymphatic system, all as you're helping yourself fall asleep and improving your sleep too.
Right. There's some lifestyle things people can do too, isn't there, Ben? Like get off their devices close to sleep.
Blue light. That's right. Blue light has an activating effect as opposed to red light. So staying off your computer, staying off TV, not looking at your phone, and using red lights. You can actually buy red light bulbs, and you can sleep with a red light on. Warm water has a parasympathetic or vagus activating effect. So either throwing warm water in your face or taking a warm bath. Warm baths are great. Hot tubs are great. I always kid around when I'm doing a presentation. I say, if you really cared about health, we would have national hot tub insurance where every American gets a hot tub, or everybody gets a hot tub in their backyard, because when you're sitting in warm water, you activate that parasympathetic nervous system. The body feels safe when it's in warm water, when it's immersed in warm water. Not necessarily too hot, but just warm water, warm shower, throwing warm water in your face. All of these can have a very powerful parasympathetic activating effect. One of my favorite ways to activate the parasympathetic nervous system is to touch the top of your mouth with your tongue, right where your hard palate meets your soft palate. In the front of your mouth, you have at the top of your mouth, the roof of your mouth, you have a hard tissue at the very top. That's called your hard palate. And then the back, it softens up. That's called your soft palate. Well, right where the hard palate meets the soft palate, you have you can contact the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is right on the other side of that place where the soft palate meets the hard palate. So just by touching that with your tongue, you'll activate the parasympathetic nervous system. And interestingly, humming will do the same thing. If you hum, or if you're spiritual and you're meditating, you may go Om, or you can just hum. A friend of mine named Jonathan Goldman wrote a book called The Humming Effect, where he talks about using humming to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. And the reason humming, or oming, if you will, have this vagus nerve activating or parasympathetic nervous system activating effect is because they're vibrating that area right at the top of your mouth where the soft palate meets the hard palate. And so humming and oming are other great ways to do it. Of course, body work and massage can do it. And you can do self-massage too, by the way, just on your hands or on your feet or on your wrists or on your quadriceps or hamstring. All of these muscle relaxing effects will also activate the parasympathetic nervous system. There's so many different things that you could do to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, activate the vagus nerve. And while we're talking about sleep, and all of these strategies will help you fall asleep, as I say, they'll also give you better immunity, slow down the aging process, improve growth and repair, make your skin more beautiful, improve perfusion to all of the organs. I mean, all the wonderful effects that the body can contribute for improving our lives and slowing down the aging process will be improved and enhanced by these parasympathetic activating and vagal tone or vagal strengthening strategies that you can use. And there's many of them. Of course, nutritional supplements will help too. When the body has enough nutritional nutrients in it, it feels safe. When it doesn't have enough nutrients in it, the opposite is true. It doesn't feel safe. And when you put a lot of energy into the body in the form of calories and the form of sugar, without the nutrients that are important for the body to be able to use or be able to process the sugar and that energy, again, that activates the sympathetic nervous system. That's the body doesn't feel safe. So keeping nutrients high and calories or energy levels reasonable, not too high, you don't want them too low, of course, but reasonable, is another great way to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. And that being said, there are specific supplements that have relaxing effects. For example, we talked about melatonin. There's another really cool relaxing nutrient called theanine, Theanine. That has relaxing effects. Magnesium has relaxing effects. The B vitamin-like substance called inositol also has relaxing effects. Glycine, a very, very important amino acid, has relaxing effects. And there tryptophan and also 5-HTP, both of which have been used for treating depression and anxiety disorders, also have relaxing effects. So there's nutrients you could use, there's supplements that you could use, there's lifestyle strategies that you can use. There's a whole range of a whole spectrum and range of nutritional supplements and dietary and lifestyle strategies that you can use to help you fall asleep without sleeping pills and without medical intervention and without changing your mattress, although your mattress is probably important, and your pillows. And, you know, here in this country, we've got all kinds of marketing and commercials associated with pillows and mattresses and sheets and all these different things that you can use to fall asleep. Get yourself on a good nutritional supplement program, add some melatonin and some theanine, maybe some magnesium before you go to bed, or some tryptophan before you go to bed, inositol, glycine, and activate all of the parasympathetic nervous system with all these strategies that we talked about. There's no reason why anybody should have insomnia. Think of insomnia as a sign that the body's in an alert status. And what we need to be doing is relaxing that alert status by telling the body it's safe through all of these different strategies.
There's tryptophan in the sleep gummies, Ben.
Absolutely. And I think there's also theanine in the sleep gummies too.
Yes, yeah. So just one last point. Alcohol. I notice if ever I have a glass of wine, I'll have a terrible night's sleep.
Well, that's interesting because alcohol helps people fall asleep, but it doesn't give you a quality night's sleep. Like you said, you'll have a terrible night's sleep. So, you know, we don't have time to talk about this today, but we maybe want to talk about the different phases of sleep. Like there's sleep cycles, and you go through multiple cycles a night. And it's important that you go through the full cycle in order to have an effective night's sleep. And part of that cycle is what's called REM sleep, REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep. And in order to feel rested, when you wake up in the morning, you got to make sure that you're having enough REM sleep. It's not just that you're falling asleep, but you're having enough quality sleep. And that's where alcohol can have a alcohol can be problematic because it doesn't give you that quality sleep. Another problem that people have that can cause insomnia that is really not recognized as much as it should be is sleep apnea. I don't know if you've heard of this condition. That's where you stop breathing. Literally, we'll stop breathing in the middle of the night. And when you stop breathing, that activates the stress response, and you get a big surge of stress hormone, and you'll wake up or you won't have quality sleep. So if you have sleep apnea, you may want to consider either practicing breathing techniques, or reducing or eliminating the causes of sleep apnea, which include metabolic syndrome and obesity. Those are the two of the biggest problems associated with sleep apnea. Apnea means apnea, apnea. Pnea means breathing, a means without. Sleep apnea is when you're not breathing. Metabolic syndrome can cause sleep apnea, and obesity, which is related to metabolic syndrome, will also cause sleep apnea. Of course, if you're smoking cigarettes, that can also be a problem. So if you think or you suspect that you're dealing with sleep apnea, then you may want to get what's called a CPAP machine. That's where they drive a machine that drives oxygen through pressure into your respiratory system while you're sleeping. It's a bit bulky and it's kind of inconvenient to use. Or you can work on your metabolic syndrome issues and your obesity issues. Healthy people typically are not going to have sleep apnea. So that's another aspect to insomnia. But the sleep apnea itself is going to cause an activated sympathetic nervous system. So it really boils down to this activated stress response that's not only responsible for insomnia, but as I said at the beginning of this talk, responsible for pretty much everything that we deal with in the way of chronic degenerative diseases and accelerated aging, which really simplifies the whole problem. Doesn't make it easy necessarily to solve the problem, but it simplifies the solution. It's not necessarily easy to tell the body to stand down in this crazy, fast-paced, stress-filled life that we've created for ourselves on planet Earth in the year 2024. Not to mention, as we said, adverse childhood experiences or post-traumatic stress syndrome issues. But it does simplify the whole problem of not just insomnia, but also chronic degenerative disease. In other words, tell the body to stand down or figure out a way to communicate to the body that it's safe. That's why I always tell people that when we learn in the Christian world that we have to be saved, what it really means is we have to be safe. What it really means is we have to see that our eternal life is not being threatened. Maybe our bodily life can be threatened in rare cases, but for most of us, we're not really in a life-threatening situation. But to our bodies, it feels like we're being eaten by a saber-toothed tiger, or at least being chased by a saber-toothed tiger when we get our credit card bills, or we're dealing with our family or our jobs or the government or our taxes. All of these different ways we've created artificial survival threats, which aren't really survival threats physically as much as they are survival threats psychically. So learning to calm down, learning to relax, whether it's by using cognitive behavioral strategies like just thinking about being at peace, or analyzing or assessing why we feel danger, and that's called cognitive behavioral therapy, which I'm a big believer in, or whether it's straight out physiologic strategies like slow, deep breathing, or focusing on different parts of your body, or any of the other strategies we just talked about. There's wonderful ways to tell the body to stand down, which will not only help you fall asleep, but will also add years to your life and reduce the potential impact of chronic degenerative disease. And don't forget, if you can't sleep, or even if you can, but you want a really powerful anti-aging supplement, get yourself on those longevity melatonin gummies. They are awesome.
I can vouch for that.
Good
Thanks,
deal.
Ben. That was awesome. Thank you. I know you're in a hurry to get off to another event.
I got another event. God bless everybody. And you, Michelle, thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
We'll do another one tomorrow. We'll talk about,
okay.
What did we say?
Bye for now.
What was the other thing we wanted to talk about, Michelle? Osteoporosis.